when we're talking about the security guarantees, we have to understand what does it mean. And I bet no one from the experts, from the members of parliament, among the prime ministers, will not explain what we have under the security guarantees from the American or European side. That's the biggest problem. Because I want to remind you, we had to have still security guarantees from US, UK, France, Russia as well, even China, from the Budapest Memorandum. And we see what happened in 2014.
We're told that peace plans for Ukraine could reach Vladimir Putin as soon as tomorrow. President Zelensky says proposals agreed with the US are nearly final after talks in Berlin, where Washington claims 90% of the toughest issues have been settled. They include Article 5-style US guarantees, but don't go as far as pledging American troops. In Berlin, President Zelensky called on European and US leaders to demonstrate they can secure peace and ensure that Russia is held accountable.
We must show through Ukraine that Europe and the United States of America are capable of delivering real results in securing peace. And when the guns stay silent, when the drones stop killing, the law must still speak. Russian root causes should be returned to Russia, and it cannot be that war criminals travel freely across Europe or the world as if they were tourists. It cannot be that those who killed are suddenly treated as respectable partners.
OK, well, let's speak to Solomiia Bobrovksa, who is a member of the Ukrainian opposition Holos party and a member of the Parliamentary Committee on National Security, Defence and Intelligence in Ukraine. Solomiia, a warm welcome. Thanks for being with us here on the Evening Edition.
My pleasure. Greetings from Kyiv.
How much do we know about what is in the deal? I wonder if you have a good view on what is there and what that means for Ukraine. Is it acceptable in the eyes of Ukraine parliamentarians like yourself?
To be frank, we don't have much on these negotiations, especially last meetings of Zelensky in Berlin. But we know the crucial points that we are worrying and now starting to discuss in the parliament.
Okay.
That's the main issue. That's about territory. That's about the Donetsk region, which actually the issue number one for Russian side, to withdraw Ukrainian troops from the Donetsk region, so they can actually to occupy or to control the whole Donetsk region from the Russian side, and that's the main point. At which I suppose we stuck, because for us that's not the point of the trade or even of this peace deal or of any kind of security guarantees, and that's the problem which US cannot understand and still pressing Ukrainian side and Ukraine to sign this memorandum or to sign this so-called peace deal because it's Christmas coming, but with the condition that's of the withdrawing Ukrainian troops from the Donetsk region, because that's the key thing and the red flags and the most important achievement which Putin wants to show for the Russian society. That's the control for the Donetsk region. That's the main point. We cannot agree, and I think that's the painful for the whole Ukrainian state.
Yeah, look, I mean, Russia has said the US has promised us Ukrainian territory. That's what Russia's coming at, and we must take it with a pinch of salt. But there is the issue of Russia. Just to put this very plainly, Russia's demanded that Zelensky surrender the entirety of the Donbass. It's the eastern coal mining region of Ukraine, of course. That means abandoning, as you say, the fortified towns in Donetsk that Russia has failed to capture. Zelensky, he has said he cannot hand over territory in Donbass controlled currently by Ukraine. That is a dividing line, isn't it? And I wonder whether there is, I mean, are we just relying on Russia to say, OK, we will draw the lines where they currently are? And if that's what Russia do concede, is that acceptable to Ukrainians?
Acceptable could be the point that's to freeze the the front line where it is now. But it's not acceptable because they are demanding to withdraw Ukrainian troops from the Donetsk region. That's impossible. That's what Ukrainians cannot accept, won't accept, and it can't happen. Even despite they started, to propose and to discuss the possibility to hold the referendum and to put this question or issue to ask the society, Ukrainian society, whether we can accept this or not. But I'm more than sure, and I bet neither Ukrainian parliament nor Ukrainian society will not accept this.
Yeah.
Okay, just to freeze the front line, that's an option for the Russian side. They're quite unfortunately successful. They are moving forward. Yes, it's hard for them, but still they're moving on the front line. I mean, they're quite active with the combat actions, and we don't see, and I don't see, just came from the front line a week ago, that they are somewhere at least stopping and or they're ready for any ceasefire. And probably they declined the proposal from the European side to launch the ceasefire for Christmas night.
Yeah, look, the US has told Kyiv and European allies to accept its platinum offer of security guarantees in exchange for ceding some territory to Russia. We know that Volodymyr Zelensky is not a fan of that. That is a sticking point. From the European leaders' point of view, they say this is an issue for Ukraine, for President Zelensky. He must decide what is best. And they would support President Zelensky to consult his people if needed. So that is a major sticking point. We've not, apart from a referendum that Zelensky is prepared to hold with the Ukrainian people on it, we've not really got too far. That pretty much 100% relies on Russia basically sticking with the front line where it is. So that would be a major concession by Russia. European leaders as well have talked about this coalition of the willing, support from the United States and European nations providing those security guarantees. Do you think Russia will accept that? That is an element of the deal that really has been rubber stamped by the United States. They have, although they won't be providing boots on the ground, they have offered US-backed security guarantees.
When we're talking about the security guarantees, we have to understand what does it mean. And I bet no one from the experts, from the members of parliament, among the prime ministers, will not explain what we have under the security guarantees from the American or European side. That's the biggest problem. Because I want to remind you, we had to have still security guarantees from US, UK, France, Russia as well, even China, from the Budapest Memorandum. And we see what happened in 2014. So this, the real estate approach, which Witkoff and Trump is trying, to hold, that's a huge mistake. And from my point of view, he has to be stopped by Europeans with explanation. It doesn't work here, as with Russians, especially with a totally different mentality. That's not only about the trade. That this war, that's about existing of the political nation on the map and the state on political map. That's the first thing. The other one, referendum. Yes, we started to have discussions on that. But we are very careful in Ukraine now on these negotiations that Ukraine will sign it, and we will move forward with that. That's why too much noise, and I'm not sure about near the negotiations, and I'm not sure we will have the solution for that before Christmas or even after Christmas.
Well, it may be the unfreezing of those Russian assets could provide another bit of security for Europe and maybe push Vladimir Putin along the line a little bit. We'll wait and see. Solomiia Bobrovksa, thank you for being with us. Member of the opposition Holos party, member of the Parliamentary Committee on National Security, Defence and Intelligence in Ukraine.